have 30 seconds remaining. Speakers registered on the consent agenda items will be taken following the announcement of any items being pulled from consent. Speakers registered for non-consent items other than public hearing and zoning cases will be taken together prior to those items being acted upon. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak on all items within those blocks that they registered to speak on. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to your Fort Worth City Council meeting. I'll call us to order.
Tonight's invocation will be by Pastor Chauncey Franks from TCU FCA Charter Coach. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledges of allegiance.
To Mayor Parker and to all City Council members, thank you so much for this opportunity to be with y'all tonight. It's a great honor. Thank you for your service. Please join me in prayer. Well, Father God, we thank you. We thank you for the breath of life. We thank you for this moment. We thank you for everyone who is here, the concerns, the affairs that we bring into this room tonight. We thank you for the leadership that you have appointed to help lead and to help guide the city of Fort Worth. Lord, we know that leadership is not always easy, but we are thankful that you have appointed each leader for this time. And so, God, I pray that you would continue to pour your spirit in their hearts and mind, giving them strength to be connected to your heart because your heart reflects all people. Let this city be a city of unity as we continue to work through the challenges, the difficult times, and to celebrate the amazing things that you are doing in this city. Bless this meeting. Let it glorify you. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
The first item of business will be a special presentation of a proclamation for the 50th anniversary of Leadership Fort Worth by Mayor Maddie Parker.
Good evening, and I'm going to ask Councilmember Michael Crane to help us present certificates of recognition to Jennifer. Thank you so much for bringing this wonderful group of people to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Leadership Fort Worth, which is so incredibly our honor to get to be with you this evening. So, Michael, if you want to go down to the dais, and we'll join you for a picture in a second. And Jennifer, however you want to do it, if you want to have everybody stand behind you, or if you want to let Michael read first, it's up to you. So thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Jennifer and crew. I'll let you talk a little bit about the crew, but I'm thankful for Leadership Fort Worth and what they've done for the city as an alumni. I know Mayor Pro Tem Bivens is also an alumni of the program, but it is a long list of people that are leaders in Fort Worth that have gone through the program, whether that's the Leader Kids program, the Leadership Fort Worth, Leadership Class, Leading Edge, Leader Prime, all the programs. So I have a proclamation on your 50th anniversary. I've been honored also to work on behalf of Leadership Fort Worth in a management role too. And so I'm proud of everything that's happening now with the group. And let me read this to you. I'm going to give this to you to hold as part of this. It says, whereas Leadership Fort Worth was founded in 1972 and graduated its first cohort in 1973 and celebrating its 50th anniversary in 2023. And whereas through 3 adult programs and 1 youth program for 8th grade students, Leadership Fort Worth has graduated more than 4,000 participants, with over 1,200 of those being leader kids. Their programs help ensure a strong pipeline of leaders across the community to make Fort Worth a better place for everyone. And whereas Leadership Fort Worth provides Fort Worth with diverse and enlightened leaders and envisions a community where everyone has the opportunity to be a leader and to serve the greater good, Leadership Fort Worth alums hold elected office, run businesses, lead nonprofit organizations, serve the community, and more in an effort to make Fort Worth better for everyone. And whereas Leadership Fort Worth is one of the oldest community leadership development organizations in the United States and serves as a model for other programs, now therefore the city of Fort Worth does hereby recognize and celebrate Leadership Fort Worth's 50th anniversary in the city of Fort Worth. You're welcome. Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. You want to say a few words?
Oh my gosh, thank you all so much letting us be here for something fun and celebratory. I know that's not always the case sometimes with these meetings, but we're so honored to be here, so honored to have all of you join us in celebrating 50 years of providing Fort Worth with great leaders. You know, Gina Bivens, I know you were, Councilmember Bivens, you were also on our board of directors at one point, and as Councilmember Crane said, he was on our staff at one point too. So there's lots of touch points, lots of overlap. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize this whole group of folks and hopefully have you all come up and join for a photo op, including our City of Fort Worth alums as well, because the City of Fort Worth has been a very, very strong partner through the city manager's office, the CFO's office. You all as an organization, I think, are the #1 organization that sends participants our way, which we're extremely grateful for because it's such a good two-way learning opportunity for your participants, but also for our participants as well. We're super excited to be celebrating our official 50th anniversary on June 8th. We hope you all will be able to join us on Thursday, June 8th at the Ashton Depot from 11 to 1. Tickets and invitations are already out. We'd love to have you all there if you can join us. We expect that to fill up pretty quickly at the rate that I'm going this week, and so that's a good thing to have. Some really cool milestones I want to make sure that you are aware of. Frida Castaneda Monaco is our leader kid alum from 1998. At least raise your hand, Frida. Okay, she doesn't like the spotlight too much, but she's in Leading Edge right now as well. So as far as we know, she's our first graduate of Leader Kids, who's now 25 years later going through Leading Edge. I'd love to have her on the board someday, so we'll see if I just speak that into existence. We also have our first board president from Leading Edge, which is Peyton Lair, Sal Maria Lair as well. And so just lots of board members, past presidents, alums from all over the community. We couldn't do this without you all, and so thank you so much for this recognition tonight.
Thank you, Jennifer. You can come down there.
Yes. Gina, you can come down. All right, y'all. Come on, Dana, William. I'm going to start calling names. Lauren, you're in now. Yeah, I see that.
Hey, wonderful. Come on, scoot up more. Come on.
Hey, how are you? Good. Yes, good to see you.
Everybody?
Here. Here.
We have two of those. The first one is M&C 23-0222. And the second item to be withdrawn from the consent agenda is M&C 23-0229.
Next is any items to be withdrawn by staff.
There are no items to be continued or withdrawn by staff.
Mayor, the next item will be the speakers on the consent agenda, which I believe we have 5.
Thank you, Jeanette. Our first speaker is Letitia Wilburn, followed by Gerald Miller.
Okay, my name is Letitia Wilburn. What I want to say about this is that Echo Heights is having lots of problems, and this facility is part of the problem. Y'all put this waste facility on a service road to this community. There's no cleanup. People come and dump stuff. Y'all don't even take care of the property. Y'all pile stuff up on the property. I think that part of the problems that's going on in Echo Heights is this problem. This should not be in a community where there are homes. This should be in a community where there's only space for this to be allowed. This should not be an environment for people to live. This is an absolute disaster. Anybody that's been on the service road of 287 and Village Creek have seen this. There's homes over there. When the facility is not open, people dump trash. There's nails everywhere. There's paint on the street. Cars come through there during high traffic areas. And I'm sure a lot of those people have gotten flats as well. So I think this should be denied. And I think y'all should figure out somewhere else to put this waste facility instead of a community that's considered to be one of the most polluted neighborhoods, communities in the United States.
Our next speaker is Gerald Miller, followed by Adrian Smith.
Good morning, esteemed council. My name is Gerald Miller, Maddox Parker. Mayor, thank you. I spoke with you a couple of weeks ago. I'm here on a disturbing matter regarding the City of Fort Worth claims policy, and I wanted to explain a little bit more about why the claims policy should be changed or modified as implemented. Specifically, what you've seen is a handout, and it's my story. I am the only multiple Grammy Award-winning record label owner to ever be arrested in the city of Fort Worth for theft of his own dog. Yes, that's right, theft of his own dog. I was arrested on February the 6th, 2003, for theft of a dog that my wife sitting there found on November the 23rd. When we found that dog, I immediately took it to animal control, and it had no chip. It was covered in motor oil, flea infested, and had matted hair that was reminiscent of dreadlocks. After 4 days, I went back to adopt a dog, and the Hispanic female, although she let 2 other Spanish ladies, a white male and a white female, adopt dogs on the spot, told me that I would have to wait till after the dog got spayed or neutered when I asked to buy an intact pet permit, which she refused to give me. After being insulted, degraded, and abused, I asked to speak to her director, which she refused, and I walked out and left my number and told him to call me. 3 days later, police officers showed up at my house, threatened me, put their hand on their gun, and on videotape accused me of threatening to shoot police officers when I made no such comment. I immediately filed an internal affairs complaint, and nothing happened. On February the 6th, when my wife was driving the vehicle, I was pulled over, arrested for theft of a dog, which I had in my care, custody, and control for over 6 days, which under this ordinance that this panel created ownership in me. They knew that it was a civil matter, but the animal control officers filed intentionally false reports with the police stating, 1, that I had previously stolen another dog that I adopted legally through them, and 2, that they called me and I refused to return the dog, which was disputed by the notes. This story is captivated in that thing. What I would like to do is see a reevaluation of city employment, and the immunity given to city employees. I'm also running to change that by nominating myself for the Animal Control Shelter Act. All of this is detailed in 68 pages of documentary evidence, which I got upon subpoena, which a city attorney also tried to hide from me and instructed staff not to speak with me when I was investigating my own matter pro
Thank you,
se.
Mr. Miller. We'll be following up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Adrian Smith, followed by Carolyn Rodriguez.
Adrian Smith, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Okay, so the notice of claims for alleged damages or injuries. My position on this, basically, I'm standing here just asking that I pray that everyone listed within this particular MMC, which I did a deep dive and checked out everything, names and incidents and et cetera. I just want to make sure that all the people who are listed here are been given due consideration for these various incidents. You know, I'm hoping that they're not getting pushed to the side. I'm hoping everyone is given direction they need to file whatever necessary means they need to file against the city if it's found to be something liable for city's responsibility. So that's why I'm standing up here. So if anybody's at the sound of my voice is part of this MMC, you have levied a claim against the city for liabilities. Hope that someone within this department or departments are reaching out to you to ensure that you are receiving the necessary justices that are due to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Our next speaker is Carolyn Rodriguez, followed by Mary Goodman. Is Rodriguez here? No? Okay. Mary Goodman. Ms. Goodman, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mary Goodman, and I live in Fort Worth in Chris Nettles District 8. And you've seen me before, but I'd like to say that the city held a listening session for the Echo Heights community and all interested parties on March 10th. Christina Brooks, Director of Diversity and Inclusion, presided. Many city departments were represented, including the comprehensive plan team, code enforcement, and city communications. 5 members of the Echo Heights community were there. They were asked to share their resident stories, the quality of life issues they deal with, the illnesses and deaths, the smells and noxious fumes from the trucks running at their backyards, being awakened at 3 a.m. by the engine starting up, the noise and dust from the trucks running in the lots and streets behind them. They talked about how it feels that no matter how much they tell their stories, nothing gets done. This is where they live. They talked about the trash that falls off the trash trucks, yet it doesn't get picked up. If it does get picked up, it doesn't matter because the trucks will come again and more will come out. This is where they live. They talked about Prairie Dog Park, how difficult it is to use now that the major car access is gone. They would like this park updated, like other parks in the city. They wonder why their park has no permanent bathrooms, a nice playground equipment, and all the amenities of other parks in the city. This is where they live. They want good, clean air, water, and soil. They want their areas monitored for these, for air, water, and soil. After the meeting, one of the residents, said to me, they did not address the elephant in the room. We did not discuss the comprehensive plan. Is more industry coming? Is any industry moving out? It feels like a done deal. please delay the vote on the comprehensive plan. Please change the plan to allow no more industry in that area. Please buy the ag land around W.M. Green Elementary. Ask for the city to please provide for the people of Echo Heights. They've spoken. Please listen to provide for their needs. They are indeed citizens of Fort Worth.
Thank you, Ms. Goodman. I think Carolyn Rodriguez is here. Ma'am, sorry. Okay, thank you very much. Just making sure. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Next item will be approval of the consent agenda as amended.
Thank you, council. I can take a motion. A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Go ahead, Councilmember Bivens.
Just wanting to be very, very clear, does the consent agenda include the items that Ms. Wilburn and Ms. Goodman just spoke on?
Well, Ms. Wilburn was speaking on, go ahead, David, I want to interrupt you.
Ms. Wilburn was speaking on 230232, which was a lease agreement amendment with Waste Management. And Ms. Goodman was speaking on 230196, which is an agreement with Kirby Smith Machinery. And yes, both of those are on the consent agenda.
I do have a concern about those two, and I'll just state my concerns. I haven't spoken to the council as a whole, but these two topics are very critical, and we're going to be looking at about. And I can tell you there appeared to be a former Echo Heights property owner there, Ms. Wilburn, who currently lives there, and people from Stop 6, because it is called the Echo Heights Stop 6 Environmental Association. But this, I would hate to see this go through just as a rubber stamp, knowing what these people have continued to face.
So I think maybe for clarity, it may be helpful if we separate the two items. First, let's take MNC 23-0232, which pertains to our pending lease agreement with Waste Management of Texas. Maybe it would be helpful as Val Washington would be the appropriate person to speak on this item. She's not here. Who would be best? Dana's standing up? No? Cody? No?
Maybe legal, Dana.
Look, here comes Steve.
Okay.
Steve Cook to the rescue.
Sure. And I'll just mention this is a lease renewal
Thank
for
you.
Waste Management's lease of city property along US 287. I drive by the property every week, and it's actually very well maintained from what I've observed. I have seen piles of other material, but that's generally been TxDOT, not Waste Management, and not the city in terms of our drop-off station. But
Thank you, Ms.
Steve
Berghoff.
can answer any questions about the lease.
Yeah.
So how long is the renewal, Steve?
So this would be a 10-year renewal. It reflects the contract with Waste Management that we're talking about this evening as well. It was what this was initially. It started in 2018. They put $10.5 million into the site on a site that we had that had a lot of issues and needed a lot of work, and we didn't want to put the money into it. They approached us in order to do this $10.5 million improvement so that they could use the site, and so we agreed to that. This is an amendment to add 10 years to that to reflect their new contract so that they can continue to operate in the manner that they've always did. They removed old storage tanks, old fuel storage tanks, and several other things that were on the site.
Are there any legal ramifications from not extending 10 or continuing?
So it expires on the 31st of March,
Yeah.
10 days, and so that's why we're here to get this renewal done. That's what the timing is all about that we're trying to.
Tell you what I might do for clarity. Let's do this, council, if we're comfortable. Let's take 0232 and the other item that Mayor Pro Tem Bivens mentioned, 0196. Let's pull it off the consent agenda. We're going to put it on the non-consent. Let's vote on the consent agenda. Then we're going to keep doing this in a moment, if that'd be okay, Gina. Not to confuse the audience. That'd be perfect. So council, just for clarity's sake, we're pulling MNC 23-0232 off of the consent agenda, as well as MNC 23-0196. And other than that, the consent agenda will be as stands. Any questions from council? Please do. Let's just, yeah.
Amend the motion that I made to move forward with those two being withdrawn from the consent.
Thank you. I've got a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Thank you. A motion and a second. Is there any other discussion, council? If not, please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item will be MNC 230222. And Mayor, that was pulled from consent to allow council members Crane and Williams to recuse.
I'll start with Councilmember Crane.
Yes, in an abundance of caution, I will not be, there's a conflict of interest relating to this to my wife's employment at Child Care Associates, so I'll abstain from participation or any discussion.
Thank you, Councilmember Crane. Councilmember Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll also abstain due to my employment with the Tarrant Area Food Bank, and all of my documents are on file with the city secretary.
Thank you, Jared. With that, council, we can move for a motion to approve.
Move for approval.
A motion and a second by Councilmember Beck. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
The next item is MNC 23-0229. And that was pulled to allow Mayor Pro Tem to make comments.
Yes, it's American.
I just wanted to say hats off to American Airlines, located in City Council District 5, for their continuing participation with the community, the city, and hiring people. And with that, I move for approval.
Second.
Thank you, Gina. Motion and a second, council. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Okay, Mayor, do you want to go back to the two items that we just pulled?
No, let's just go through the rest of the agenda, and when we start non-consent, we'll start with those two items on top.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the next will be announcements by city council members, including upcoming and recent events, recognition of citizens, and approval of ceremonial travel if needed.
Thank you. Councilmember Flores, you're up first.
Thank you, Mayor Parker. Are we ready, Melissa? Okay, there we go. March 10th, Friday, Fort Worth PD, Class 153 graduated. Ceremony at Wedgwood Baptist Church. Again, another fine recruit class. I'm consistently impressed that the diversity of our police recruits are reflecting more and more of what our communities have. So kudos to the training staff and to Chief Noakes. Next slide, please. All right, First Tee. It's a great program launched for the very first time anywhere at Rockwood Park in District 2, and it's continuing, its effect across the city. And on March 11th, I met with leaders of our future, starting with our kids. Spoke to them about the One Thing Better leadership by Fort Worth ISD, partnership with their with First Tee with their after-school programs. This was at the Briscoe program location. So congrats to those kids for embarking on something different and exciting. Next slide, please. Okay, Saturday, March 11th, Why Not Me? And this is a foundation that was formed for the late Ollie Babe Garza. He overcame a personal disability and lifted himself up and became a very contributing member of the Diamond Hill community. Passed away recently, so that community and others from across District 2 came together at Diamond Hill High School to raise money for the charities that he valued. So appreciate all the good folks and good wishes that came out to support that. Next slide, please. Just this past Saturday, Countdown turned green again. Fort Worth's only St. Patrick's Day parade was held in the Stockyards. The parade got bigger, and I think we had record crowds. Visit Fort Worth, I think, is working on those figures, but we exceeded expectations again, so thanks one and all to the participants. Thank you to the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame for giving me a ride, Clay Miller, and a little boy named Parker, who did a great job steering the wagon. Thanks to everybody. Next slide. All right. Cesar Chavez. That celebration, was put off rails for the time being when COVID hit, but they're coming back with a march and parade. It'll be Saturday, April 1st from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Starts at the Convention Center near the JFK Memorial and ends at TCC campus. So one and all, join us, for a very important day. And I have one announcement: Easter around the corner. So hop on over to the Easter event that's being held at the Tri-Ethnic Community Center, April 1st, Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Fun games, food, bounce houses, etc. Staff is really great and welcoming, so hope to see you all out there. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Next to Mayor Pro Tem Bivens.
To acknowledge the people at Sunrise Elementary School. They recently held a celebrity reading day, and I almost didn't make it, but I was delighted to get there because who did I see first but Bishop Kenneth Spears, pastor of First St. John, and we were all standing, and I looked around, and there was Miss Opal Lee right there, of course, reading her own book. So we try to make reading exciting. It was just fun to be with the people at Sunrise, which is where my mom had taught kindergarten, so it's fun to be back. That's about it.
Thank you, Gina. Next is Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few announcements. The first one is announcing our reading challenge. The Fort Worth Public Library is partnering with Crowley ISD for a very special reading challenge for preschool through high school students. Students are encouraged to log their reading minutes, and the winners in 3 age groups will join in the ribbon cutting of our new District 6 library, the Vivian J. Lincoln Library, this summer. You can, for all the details, you can visit the Fort Worth Library's website. And as always, Miss Lincoln, I'm reminded roaming the hallways in Crowley ISD of a quote that she would always say. It's important that we remember our ABCs, always believe in children. Next slide. Another announcement, we have our next Litter Day in District 6, so join us this Saturday. The event will be from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and we'll be meeting at French Lake Park at Canderidge. At French Lake at Canderidge Park. The address is on our social media page if you don't know where that is, and we hope to see you all this Saturday. Next slide. We also have our next listening circle, and we'll be talking about wildlife in our parks and neighborhoods, including egrets and coyotes. And we'll have our city staff there at the meeting to provide all of you who are interested and affected by wildlife in our parks and neighborhoods with information that will help you and your neighbors. So we hope to see you there. It's going to be from 6 to 7 next Thursday, March 30th, from 6 to 7 p.m. And I think that concludes my announcements, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. And next is Councilmember Firestone.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one quick announcement, which is a very exciting one. This past March 9th, I was privileged, really a great privilege, to attend and speak at the groundbreaking for the Opal in far north Fort Worth. So the Fort Worth Housing Solutions is developing this new affordable apartment complex adjacent to the Holston, which has been open for the past 2 years. So this is going to be a sister property. The Opal will also offer units for families of different sizes and makeups, and with access to quality schools and city services, along with many luxury amenities and many different rental rates, of course, included. In addition, the Opal, along with the Holston, will provide quality housing for residents working along the important Alliance Corridor. So I was really honored, of course, to stand by Ms. Opal Lee to break ground for this wonderful new addition to District 7 and to our community. And it was just a great morning out there. And as I said, just a great honor to be with her and celebrate the building with her name on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Firestone and Councilmember Beck.
All right, first up, we have our Linwood Square meet and greet, which is a really lovely senior facility in District 9. It was great to get out there with them. Next slide. University West, which I get to share with Councilman Crane. Explaining the new district lines to them was just as complicated as the old district lines, so some things don't change. Next slide. We had our biannual MPO, District 9 MPO breakfast last week. It's always great to get everyone in the room and make sure we're addressing any issues that our neighborhood police officers need. And I will go on the record as saying that District 9 has the best group of NPOs, and I said what I said on this dais. It's not open for argument or discussion. Next slide. We've got something coming up, and I will let you hit play on that so we don't look frozen and weird face on the video.
Hey there, this is Councilwoman Elizabeth Beck, and I'm here to invite you to an event here in District 9 at Greenbrier Community Center, our court in the community. And with me today is Judge Danny Rogers, and he's going to share some of the details with you.
This is going to be on April the 1st, and this is no April Fool's joke, not at all. We're going to have an event here for Court in the Community, Warrant Forgiveness. We invite you to come if you have any outstanding citations with the city of Fort Worth. There are no arrests. We are a safe harbor court. What we want to do is meet with the folks, come in, get rid of their warrants if at all possible, remove some fees if necessary, but get you on a right path so you can handle those tickets so you don't have warrants hanging over your head. You don't have things to worry about. So come see us April 1st. Greenbrier Community Center. We're going to have some additional folks here to offer services to folks that come in.
Great.
And that's going to be Goodwill, the Envision Center, and Legal Aid.
That's amazing.
So we want all of our folks to come here to Greenbrier April 1st from 9 a.m. until noon. You can register online ahead of time, and that helps us be prepared for you. We're going to try to see a total of 120 people, so come early, get your business taken care of, and then walk out without any warrants hanging over you.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Now, I have a question. What if I don't know if I have a warrant?
You can call the court and check, 817-392-6700, and they will check and see if you have any outstanding. You don't just have to have warrants, just outstanding cases.
Awesome.
Don't necessarily have to be in warrant, but come see us. A little more relaxed event than coming downtown to court, but we want to see you there. If you have any questions, call us at that number or come see us on April the 1st.
All right, thank you.
You bet, absolutely.
All right, and just so we all know, council members get tickets too, and our municipal court's always really easy to go in and punch in and pay for those citations, but this is an even easier way to handle any citations or warrants because we meet you where you are and we help you work through those. So I'd encourage everyone, not just District 9, but if you are trying to clear some tickets or warrants, head on out to Greenbrier Community Center. And that's all I got.
Next, Mayor, will be the non-consent speakers. And I believe we have 5 of those as well.
Our first speaker is Bob Willoughby, followed by Jimmy Arbor.
Well, okay. I think I signed up for 2 things. I forget. I mean, like I said, ever since, why don't you change this back like it was? It was so simple. We read it off, you voted on it, and it was done. Even the council member was confused a while ago. Gina had to be clarified. This goes on at every meeting. They're confused on consent items, non-consents. Give us our 3 minutes back, put it back like it was. It was so simple. Anyway, the first one I guess I'll go on is the MC 230148. Can I talk about that, about the recycling? Is that up to talk about? See, I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, First thing, I want to correct the city manager, Mr. Cook, in a budget meeting. I told Mr. Cook the women's minority gets about 180 grand a year from the city recycling money. Used to go to them. I had a deal. We brought in about 300,000 a month, not a year, but a month. We brought in over 300,000 a month. 180 was allotted out to the women's minority group. Okay. I mentioned Mr. Cook. He said, "Well, that's never happened. I've got the paper. I found it. I've got the document. It does." Okay. Well, I have a problem with this. I don't like a 10-year long contract with anybody. It's too long for one thing. I'd love to see us do it in-house with our own trucks and that eventually with the right people in charge up here. But anyway, it's a different story. 10 years is too long. The other thing, it says, I guess we get, if I understand this, we get 15% of the 4,500,000, I think, if I understood, because I went download, tried to read it, tried to understand it. I think we get 15%. If we get 15% of that, would you put it on the website or something where it's going to? Can we know? Where is it going to? You know, is it going back to the Women's Minority Club or what? Okay. The other one I signed up was about Maddie, I think. Is that on here too, about signing? That's on there? Okay, very good. I'll watch you. Okay. I didn't bring the names, but it's the same thing I've argued about over and over and over again. The city website could be more people-friendly. When you click over to see the names, you just get a big blank page with a little link. Then you got to go download and get it. The 5 names could be right there on that page, right there. You wouldn't have to go any further. It's a big blank page to use. Every one of these things have a big blank page. You don't have to put all the information, just the heading of it in there, and then having the link to go to for deeper detail. That's great. But you don't do that. You have to download every single one. And my computer's slow. You know, that's a job. I appreciate if you'd fix that. Okay, and the second thing is, these people signing, I've got 30 seconds, okay. I'm still a big supporter of our First Amendment, the right to speak. I think Mr. Crane looks sober today. Last night when I talked to him, I'm not sure he was sober. Really, he couldn't answer the question. It was funny. They were laughing and joking and couldn't answer the question. That's why you take away our public presentation off the agenda. He couldn't answer. But anyway, I'm going to run out of time if I get to talk about that. But I think it ought to be put back on, okay? That was wrong. Thank you.
Our next speaker is actually going to be Dan Hayes, followed by Adrian Smith.
My name is Dan Hayes, and I live in soon-to-be District 11, District 8 right now, which includes Riverside, Meadowbrook, Eastern Hills, Rosemont, Worth Heights, and other areas older areas inside the loop. As Probably Monsters seeks a permanent home in Fort Worth, I would like to encourage them to avoid the usual suspects of Alliance and other points to the north or other go-to parts of town, and instead look at finding a location which could really benefit from job creation. East Fort Worth would be a great location. It is in a geographically advantageous position in the Metroplex. Meadowbrook and Riverside are both seeing an influx of younger people and a refreshing of many homes. Many of these new residents are future employees that are possibly future employees that are currently driving long distances for employment. We're currently studying the East Lancaster corridor as part of a rebuilding and revitalization plan, and a company like this might find the perfect location. I don't know what input or conversations the city will have with the company after this motion is approved, but I would really appreciate some consideration of some of these overlooked areas for a permanent home for this company. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Our next speaker is Adrian Smith.
And if I could, I would like to thank Mr. Dan for his last presentation, his last suggestion he made, because, you know, someone in this room gets it. It's apparently that we continue to have business interests headed in other directions other than the Eastern Corridor. But everyone always wants to champion for the Eastern Corridor when it's election time, as if they have something special to offer. So, to the representatives of Monster Inc., I stood, when I initially, I said I was for this particular agenda item because I looked at all of the, I looked at all of the requirements that are gonna be, have to be held up on their end. So I'm hoping that the council will hold them to those requirements. And again, I always thank Ms. Bivens for giving me the teaching tool to dig a little deeper. So I saw all of those requirements that they had to uphold, and I'm hoping that they know that it's an agreement. And if you violate that agreement, then you will be called to task. You will be called, where I'm from, you will be called to the carpet on it. So again, like Mr. Dan said, maybe we can consider somewhere in the eastern part of Fort Worth, giving it an opportunity to, thrive a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Sorry, Jeanette, for clarity, I'm going to hold the two speakers on our CP with Mr. Williams until we get to that CP.
Okay, well, the CP would be next, Mayor.
Great. With that, I'm going to call on Councilmember Williams to start the discussion. Thank you, Jared.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. I guess first things first, is it appropriate to go ahead and make the motion to suspend the rules? I'd like to make a motion to suspend the council rules of procedure for section 521 to waive this second reading of this council proposal to allow it to be acted upon at this meeting.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Also, I would like to just say thank you, first of all, to Mayor and Councilmember Firestone for being my second and third on this council proposal. And thank you, staff, for working on this. We have, on this proposal, we have a resolution that's attached. And I won't go into the resolution, but what I will say is I consider it a privilege to be able to honor the legacy of Ben and Meg Auber. Meg's parents are here in the audience, and in just a few moments I will bring them up. And then also Ben's parents are on the call. I'm calling in from Colorado. But Ben and Meg, their legacy continues to be felt throughout the district and city. They were true leaders in their faith and really lived out their faith, not only for their family, their children, their parents, but also to anyone they encountered. One of the things that I'll say that was most inspiring was when me and my staff would go door to door talking about the importance of dedicating a memorial for Ben and Meg. Every neighbor would share the impact that they had in their lives in some way or another. And that was really inspiring, and it's something that I think is really noteworthy for all of us to live up to in terms of making a difference in our community. I'll say that as a person of faith, dealing with grief and finding healing where possible, that I've personally find comfort in 2 Corinthians 5:8 that gives us confidence that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And so to the Andersons, to the Aubers, know that you have an entire community that's walking with you on this tough journey, and I'm praying with you for continued peace and strength and comfort. And I look forward to dedicating not only the street topper, which this proposal is for, but also the park memorial bench at Summer Creek Park. It'll be a very special way for me to celebrate the life and legacy of Ben and Meg Auber, and for that legacy to be remembered from all who walked those spaces. At this time, I'd like to bring up Andy, if you would like to, and Liz, just share a few words, and then if it's okay if we have
Good evening. I'm Andy Anderson. It's my wife, Liz. We are Meg's parents. We miss Meg and Ben greatly, but we also have the faith that everything is okay and will be okay. On behalf of both of our families, just want to thank Dr. Williams and the City Council for your kindness and generosity toward us and everything that y'all have done. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have Jimmy and Candy. I think they're on hold on a call, but if they can speak, I'll yield my time to them as well.
Thank you, Jared.
Mr. Arbor?
Thank you, Jared. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, sir.
Are you okay? This is Jimmy Arbor. My wife, Candy, is in Colorado. I happen to be out of state, so she will speak after me. I, too, would like to thank Dr. Williams for contacting me to get the ball rolling on this memorial to Ben and Meg. November 6th was a terrible day. Excuse me, I'm going to get emotional. I would beg the Fort Worth City Council to pass the most stringent laws that you are able to stop the insidious behavior of people who take to street racing, particularly near residential neighborhoods. And I also spoke with Dr. Williams about solutions to Risinger Road, which has the nickname Risinger Raceway, and he talked about the idea of modifying the median and the sidewalk areas to make the road a little wavier so that cars cannot easily street race down there. And I implore the city of Fort Worth to take that action so that future tragedies, as has happened to the Andersons and the Arbors, will not happen to other families. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Arbor. I believe that Candy is also on the phone.
Give us 1 second, Mayor.
Okay.
Ms. Arbor?
Good afternoon, good evening. Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to thank the city of Fort Worth for the efforts they've made so far in making our neighborhoods safe for our children. And thank you for honoring our very special son and our most precious daughter-in-law that we truly adored. And we hope that maybe these memorials will sink in that everything we do every day has an impact. And I just want to thank the city of Fort Worth. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Arbor.
That's the last of the speakers, Mayor.
Thank you. Dr. Williams, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And Jimmy mentioned a little bit, and I would just share for my colleagues that where the street topper will be placed is at Burr Oak and Risinger. And, I want to thank TPW for making some very important improvements to that intersection with a stop sign and a crosswalk. This memorial project is only one step to increasing, the safety in that corridor. And there's also more work being done at Risinger and Summer Creek as well with a much needed traffic light. And so we have a long road to go, but I think it's really important that we move this item forward as a part of the overall strategy of trying to make that area safe and also honor this family.
Thank you, Jared. In closing, I'll just say I actually got to meet Ben when my car completely was done after college. We bought a new car and we met Ben. And my husband, who is also an Aggie and K1, and I think that Ben was an E1, as most cadets do, they immediately bond over Aggie business and also being Ross volunteers. And I actually saw Ben a year after that. Of course, he knew the whole family, how old the kids were, and we quickly understood what kind of family man he was as well. So our prayers are with your entire family, and it is an honor to get to be with you this evening. And last thing I'll say is this council, has talked a lot about street racing. There's videos, it goes viral online. Our police officers deal with it. There are real consequences to those actions. I'm very proud of what Jared has done tonight to bring awareness. Reisinger is a very dangerous corridor, but you have young people that are not thinking about the result of their actions. And because of what happened, you took two parents from their children, and our prayers are with you, but thank you for letting this council honor you this evening. Thank you.
Mayor, I think we have a motion by Councilmember Williams and seconded by Councilmember Crane.
Thank you, Jeanette. We do, and I think, Jared, you're our last person to vote there if you want to vote. Perfect. Motion carries. Thank you, council.
Next item will be changes in the membership of boards and commissions, with the first two being 230245 and 230248, board appointments from Mayor Parker.
Thank you. Your board appointments there are listed in your agenda items, but I think I see Leon is here. Thank you, Leon, for serving, and to all our appointees on these commissions. This is a lot of active service on behalf of the citizens of Fort Worth, and so it's my honor to put forward these board appointments today. Yes, please. Please vote, council. I'll get it together eventually here. Motion carries.
The next is 230246, which is board appointments from District 9. Oh, sorry, we're going to have to take a second vote, Mayor, on, since we have two
Fort Worth Art
items.
Commission. Okay, that sounds good. Motion, these are board appointments to our Fort Worth Art Commission. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Okay, now we can move to District 9.
Councilmember Beck.
Awesome, thank you. I look forward to Matthew Graham joining us on the City Plan Commission. I know he's really excited to join as well. So with that, I move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 230243.
Council, I'll take a motion on this item. Thank you. Motion and a second. Please vote. Yeah. Motion carries.
Next item is 230244.
Motion and a second. I know that Gina's excited. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be public hearings, the first one being MNC 230191 with report by Eric Flatiger.
Come on down, Eric.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Eric Flatiger with the Planning and Data Analytics Department. Here to share with you the comprehensive plan update for 2023, and just waiting for the screen to come up. All right, thank you so much. So we're here to talk about the comprehensive plan, which is the city's general guide for making decisions about growth and development. We all know how fast we're growing. We have been the fastest growing large city in the United States for about 20 years now. So it's important to keep that guide for growth and development up to date, which is why we update the comprehensive plan every year. It presents a broad vision for long-term future, what we want to be in Fort Worth. What is our long-term vision? Describes the strategy, the major policies, programs, and projects that will help us realize that vision. This is a graphic of our annual planning process. We create a draft plan or components of a plan, as is the case for the 2023 plan. It was a smaller update than we had in the past 2 years. We hold some meetings. We had open house meetings to discuss future land use map amendments, particularly related to depiction of 100-year floodplains and incorporating those into the future land use maps. And then go through the cycle for adoption, including the work session presentation, public hearing before the City Council, or before the City Plan Commission, in January on the 25th, and then an informal report in February to Council, and then on to the meeting tonight. So what is in the proposed comprehensive plan? So the red items that you see on this table of contents are the ones that we are updating for this year. As is typically the case, the trend chapters where a lot of the statistical information, the data that underpins the policy basis of the comprehensive plan, we devote some energy to keeping that up to date so it can continue to inform council, inform commissioners and developers and landowners and the public as they make decisions about use of their land, growth and development of the city. Population trends, economic trends, financial trends are key. We've made some minor changes to the land use chapter. The appendices is the other location where sort of the rubber hits the road in terms of the tools that we use to make decisions. So plans and studies where we include all of the variety of plans that council has adopted over the years that have then the ability to inform council decisions, commission decisions. The population employment data is updated. The land use policies, that Appendix C contains the individual maps of the 16 planning sectors that make up the city of Fort Worth and the land use policies that are associated with those specific areas of the city. Proposed capital improvements. That really incorporates the 5-year capital improvement program along with a sort of a graphic summary. The 20-year planned service areas, as you recall, is a fairly recent addition, and that's another tool for making decisions. In this case, looking out at the edges of the city and looking at potential annexation areas of the future. So these areas identify what we want to, or what we anticipate being able to serve in the next 20 years. Annexation policy and program provides that guidance for that decision-making process. So just a couple of examples here. Trend chapters, again, very graphic in depiction. It's all updated statistical information that is then usable in reports and decision-making by the city. Appendix A is that list of plans that have been adopted. The Botanic Garden Master Plan is one that was included this year, as was the Economic Development Strategic Plan update. The Las Vegas Trail Neighborhood Transformation Plan, which is moving through adoption now, and Meacham Airport Master Plan, Public Art Plan for 2022 bond program as well. And just calling your attention to the graphic that you see, those blue bars underneath each one of those descriptions of plans actually takes you as a link to the plan itself. So if you, as is the case with much of the rest of the comprehensive plan, if you want more detail, you want more information, you have links that will take you there. Appendix C, as I said, is that future land use map. We have 16 of these individual pages with policy guidance associated with them and a color-coded map. So we have a number of future land use changes that we're making this year. And you have heard, and you will hear some more, I think, from members of the Echo Heights area. This is actually a piece of that neighborhood. And partly based on our conversations with Echo Heights, we were looking for a way to provide some relief to that community. And what we've identified here is an opportunity where you see that blue rectangle, which is the Green Elementary School, and then surrounded on the left by that light purple color, which is light industrial, is to make a change for this comprehensive plan where the future land use map changed to this light green color, which is our designation for vacant, undeveloped, and agricultural uses. So this is, we think, a significant upgrade to the future land use map in this particular area. Another example is a much larger area. This is based on concept plans submitted by Walsh and Veal Ranch. And what we're depicting on the left is the earlier plan. Modifications have been made to it, and significant employment center opportunities are included in this one. The map on the right is showing some significant additions as industrial growth centers, as well as mixed use. So an example of the FEMA floodplains, and we've had discussions with council in our fall meetings for a couple of years now about the importance of being able to show in the future land use maps where these 100-year floodplains are located, as well as floodways. And again, it's really focused on public safety. It's focused on protection of property. On the left, you'll see the sort of far north Fort Worth, Texas Motor Speedway area. And you can see that there are some indications of green in that location, but what we've done for 2023 is we have captured the 100-year floodplain and depicted that in that vacant, undeveloped agricultural designation. So it highlights the location. It allows property owners to be aware of it. It allows developers to accommodate the location, and in fact, to use it as a way to build amenity values into their communities by preserving some of that as open space, potentially linking with trails along these linear networks. So really sort of amenity value as well as public safety. Here's an example that's related to annexations, in this case, Beggs East, out in the west side, and the map on the left is showing some neighborhood commercial and mostly single-family residential. On the right side, we've included some mixed use. We've included some low-density residential, and really that is reflecting the concept plan that was provided as part of that application. Another change to the maps is this one. This is Mary's Creek. This is a trail alignment, a new alignment that we've identified to take advantage of that lengthy stream feature. Again, Appendix D, capital improvements. We're including that 5-year plan as well as the graphic summary, which is what you see on the slide. Appendix E, the 20-year plan service areas with some boundary adjustments there to keep that current. Again, identifying the areas where the city expects to be able to provide services in areas that have not yet been annexed. Appendix F is annexation, so the policy and program. The map is identifying the location of anticipated future annexations, and as you know, in most cases now, given state legislatures' changes in recent years, these, for the most part, are coming in as property owner-initiated annexations. This is our proposed schedule, and of course, we're here tonight for a public hearing. And once the plan is adopted, we'll move forward with posting on the website. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I've got several speakers.
Thank you.
Jeanette, if you'll call the speakers.
Yes, sorry. The first speaker is Leticia Wilburn.
Leticia Wilburn, I want to say that y'all changes do not go far enough. There should be no more industrialization in Echo Heights. Matter of fact, some of the industrialization that's there should be moved out. The life expectancy in Echo Heights is 73.4 years. That's 5 years less than the life expectancy in Fort Worth. 78 point, is 5.1 years less in the state of Texas. Now, y'all know that we have a problem over there. Mayor Pro Tem even admitted that. So why do y'all want to keep adding industrialization? I have a reason for that. I believe that because y'all kept bringing up your 2000 comprehensive plan, which the community had no input in. In that comprehensive plan, it was determined that that side of town had the largest concentration of Black and brown people. So is that the reason y'all decided to start industrializing this area? What do y'all think is going to happen when people start to realize they mad at the police for killing less than 5,000 people a year, Black and brown? What about when people start realizing that the zoning practices in the United States kill hundreds of thousands of Black and brown people per year? Now, if you come to Echo Heights, you will hear stories after stories after stories about people with health issues and people who have died from cancers and other illnesses. And y'all want to bring up jobs. Y'all say bringing those warehouses to the community is bringing jobs. That's an insult. The only career that those children see that are positive in their community are their teachers at school. W.M. Green is the only school in the community, and y'all have more industrialization there. Your comprehensive plan is talking about uprooting hundreds of families in their mobile home communities. Now, with the job issues y'all want to bring up, the reason it's an insult, this community has turned out doctors, high levels of high school and college graduates, nurses, teachers, engineers, authors, morticians, firemen, policemen, fire chiefs, police chiefs, military personnel, NBA All-Stars with an S. So y'all need to do better. Y'all need to stop abusing this community, stop putting industrialization over there, put positive things over there. Our lives are worth just as much as y'all's lives. Our community are worth just as much as y'all's community. Just because we're Black and brown people don't mean that y'all can cut our lives short. If people mad at the police, what you think they're gonna happen when they find out about y'all's redlining and y'all industrializations?
Thank you, Ms. Wilburn. Our next speaker is Jim Schirmbeck, followed by Diana Mercado.
Howdy, my name is Jim Schirmbeck. I'm with Downwinders at Risk, 1808 South Good Latimer Expressway. But for 18 years, I lived at 2621 Pioneer, Fort Worth, Texas, 76119, 817-534-3720. I'm representing our group, a 30-year-old clean air environmental justice organization known for halting the burning of hazardous waste in cement kilns, reducing to some extent our regional smog over the years, and most recently getting rid of Shingle Mountain in southern Dallas, an illegal dump. I'm here because we're right now neck deep in this same process in Dallas. And it's, as you know, a very nuanced and detailed exercise, one that's taken Dallas partly because of the pandemic 3 years now. And of course, in Dallas, they have to give it a sexier name, so it's called Forward Dallas there, not just a comprehensive land use plan. The question is, why is an air group involved in land reform? It's because that determines where and how toxic pollution takes place, the proximity to it. Black and brown people in the U.S. are 300 times more likely to die from particulate matter pollution, soot pollution, than their white peers. It's not because they love breathing toxins, it's because they're forced to live in proximity to sources of that pollution, highways, industries, rail yards, things like that. Whether you live in Dallas, Arlington, Garland, or Fort Worth, there are patterns of zoning legacy patterns of racist zoning that still determine where things go in these cities, whether you're by the Trinity River, or railroad, or in this case, lots of highways. And PM pollution, I'm going to use up a lot of my time here just to give you some idea. It's not just deaths that are involved, it's the slow eradication of cognitive skills, for instance, autism, asthma, birth defects, blindness, cancer, cognitive development, COPD, dementia, diabetes, heart attacks, IQ loss, low birth weight, Parkinson's, and strokes. All of these have been linked at levels below the current EPA standard, much less what you're getting in neighborhoods like West Dallas or Southeast Fort Worth because of the trucks. The current plan bakes this in. There's no harm to delaying a vote on this plan. From my understanding, you're already going to start the comprehensive process that will lead to a 2025 plan in just a few months in summer. There is no harm to anybody in this room to waiting that out. There is harm to that neighborhood, and I appreciate the token gesture tonight that was offered up, but that is just one piece of that Echo Heights pie, much less the whole southeast corridor there. People's lives are on the line because of your decision. I know you don't want to approve a racist zoning plan again. Just put it off, do your homework, and come back with a better plan. Do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schoenbeck. Our next speaker is Diana Mercado.
Good evening. My name is Diana Mercado, and I'm a State Bar qualified student for the Texas A&M Civil Rights Clinic, representing the Echo Heights and Stop 6 Environmental Coalition. We request your vote against the comprehensive plan. The plan will only bring further industrialization to the Echo Heights Stop 6 community and perpetuate the negative impacts felt by the majority minority residents. For years, the city of Fort Worth has approved versions of this comprehensive plan and associated zoning modifications that prioritize industrial use over lifelong Fort Worth citizens. Now, many residents live in dangerous conditions with limited recreational options and are not able to fully enjoy their property, a fundamental right. The comprehensive plan designates significant land in Echo Heights as an industrial growth center. Meanwhile, the open strategy report identifies the same areas as a very high or high priority for open space, considering factors such as environmental health, community health, recreation, flood control, access to open spaces, and economic development. More industry will negatively impact the community on these very same measures. Further, the plan designates current residential areas for industrial use, but there is no discussion of these residents in the plan or where they will go if they're forced to leave their homes. There's a large warehouse directly across the street from Prairie Dog Park and adjacent to homes. Currently, the park has limited recreational options, is riddled with large trenches, making it dangerous for community members, especially children, to freely use the space. These problems are further exacerbated whenever it rains. The flooding entirely takes over the playground and brings in even more trash. The community has also raised concern about the safety of the water itself, given the industry nearby, including the fracking site in the immediate vicinity of the park. While most neighborhoods have other residents as their neighbors, Echo Heights Stop 6 residents have large trucking companies, warehouses, and other businesses right up on their property lines. To make matters worse, these businesses do not respect the community enough to keep their places clean. They leave trash, broken down vehicles, dangerous equipment, and other things lying around. Residents are unable to contribute to the beautification of their area or simply use their property without fear of noise and environmental pollution. Further preventing the use of their community are the traffic conditions. Vehicle crash data from 2015 to 2017 shows more vehicle crashes in the industrially zoned areas of Echo Heights as opposed to the residentially zoned areas. Similarly, as industrial zoning increased, so did the number of accidents in close proximity to the elementary school. The industrial growth centers in the comprehensive plan and industrial zoning in Fort Worth disproportionately affect neighborhoods where the majority of the population is non-white. Out of the 81 elementary schools in Fort Worth ISD, just 9 are situated on land that is zoned industrially or adjacent to it. 9 of those schools have majority minority student bodies. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tina James, followed by John McFarland.
Good afternoon, and first of all, I want to say thank you, Mr. Eric, for shining a little light on what I'm going to tell you about today. First of all, the 2023 City of Fort Worth Comprehension Plan has not and did not significantly change as it relates to the current land use planning for the southeast sector. The planning area includes Echo Heights and Stop 6. The plan features many heavy and light industrial future land uses in the southeast sector. The plan also retains the East Loop 820 South Industrial Growth Center and encourages more intense and concentrated industrial use in our area. The city estimates that approximately 2,000, now I'm talking about 2,000 new acres of commercial and industrial land use could be developed by 2032. The city also anticipates more industrial growth will occur in the industry as the industry grows and the centers around it. Now, once I want to let y'all know the lack of open space in the Echo Heights Stop 6 area, concentrated industrial use, and an equitable placement and concentration of the industrial facilities in the low-income majority area, lack of meaningful opportunity for the public comment on the plan and other land uses, and the zone issues in the city of Fort Worth. I want to bring y'all to this information. As of August 2nd, 2022, City Council hearing on zoning case ZC 22065, Mayor Maddie Parker commended on acquiring high priority open space areas in the Echo Heights neighborhood, stating that if the city says it needs it, we will put our money where our mouth is, end quote. At that moment, recent City Council's hearing, Mayor Parker also noted that current City Councils has made it a priority to try and preserve as much open space as the city of East Fort Worth could. She also stated that the city is losing 52 acres of open space a week to development. So with that being said, I want y'all to understand that as we live in the Echo Heights area, we suffer a whole lot when it comes to our health, our families, and our school. And I don't believe that any of y'all up here mean to tear our families up, mean to cause our health to deteriorate. I think y'all really mean well, and I think you want to do well. We're going to give you the opportunity tonight to put this plan on hold so that you'll have the opportunity to dig a little deeper and pay attention to what we're asking you to do as constituents and as elected officials of where we've placed you are to support and take care of us, our families, and our communities. We appreciate the time of y'all listening to us and coming out, and please don't stop. Come out and see some more. We gave a toxic tour today, and your employees were actually surprised at what they saw. Thank y'all for the use of the HGVs as well. We had fun in them.
Thank you, Ms. Jenks. Our next speaker is John McFarland, followed by Barbara Crotty.
Hi, I'm John McFarlane. I'm resident in District 9, and I'm also the chair of the Greater Fort Worth Sierra Club. The Sierra Club is the oldest environmental nonprofit in the country. I echo everything that was said and everything that will be said regarding this M&C. So I'm here, and other Sierra Club members are here to support the Echo Heights Neighborhood Association, the Echo Heights and Stop 6 Environmental Coalition in their fight for environmental justice. In fact, one of the Sierra Club's goals is environmental justice. So I'm here to ask that you delay the vote to approve this plan based on everything that you've heard tonight, so that more public involvement can take place, and so you can actually hear and take in the recommendations and meaningful input of the residents in East Fort Worth. Now, we all know that the southeast sector, southeast Fort Worth, East Fort Worth is one of the most polluted areas in the community, maybe along with some areas in the north side where the industrial areas are. But why are we continuing to increase the industrial growth center, increase industrial land uses, when we could decrease them? We could decrease that footprint to better protect the neighborhood. So along with asking that you delay the vote tonight and try to get more public input, I'm also asking that the city purchase the AG zone land across the street from WM Green and behind and beside it to as a park or open space. Regarding open space, I've seen several of Mayor Parker's social media posts lately, and she says that, you know, open space is very important, priority for her and the city. So let's put our money where our mouth is, and let's purchase that land to protect WM Green in perpetuity, and it'll be a buffer zone, but from around that school from the industrial pollution. I believe that's all I have to say, because I want to echo everything that's been said and everything that will be said. Again, please delay the vote on adopting this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Barbara Crotty, followed by Cecil Matson.
Hello, I'm Barbara Crotty from 2201 Washington Avenue in District 9. And I am also a member of the Greater Fort Worth Sierra Club, along with Mary Goodman, who spoke earlier. And in addition to that, I'm a registered nurse specializing in newborn and maternal care, and currently employed by Baylor All Saints Hospital. Healthcare providers cannot escape the reality of racial disparities in illnesses. Majority-minority neighborhoods like Echo Heights are routinely overburdened with polluting facilities, which is just unfair and immoral. So consequently, I support the demands of Echo Heights Environmental Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Our next speaker is Cecil Matson. Cecil will be followed by Martacia James.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Cecil Matson, and I'm here as a State Bar qualified Texas A&M School of Law Civil Rights Clinic student representing Echo Heights and Stop Sticks Environmental Coalition. We oppose the comprehensive zoning plan. Some city council representatives have previously attempted to explain away the city's effort to approve the comprehensive zoning plan by citing its longevity, but that's no longer an excuse. It's true that the plan has remained largely similar since the year 2000, and that's precisely the problem. The plan, as it is, zones Black and brown communities like Echo Heights as industrial growth centers, inflicting immeasurable harm on those communities. The city also seemed to perceive that there's been little opposition to the plan in the decades since 2000, but this could not be further from the truth. The Echo Heights community has been consistently engaged in fighting the comprehensive zoning plan. When trucking companies moved in, residents spoke out about noise and safety concerns. They were silenced with empty promises of protective measures. In 2001, the city council election cycle featured heavy involvement from community members that knew that Echo Heights was improperly zoned as industrial. They spoke out, and again, they were ignored. Over the next 2 decades, residents of Echo Heights fought at every turn against industrial zoning. They joined the Echo Heights and Stop Sticks Environmental Coalition, met with environmental groups, and suffered under the industrial growth. They reported toxic fumes coming from industrial companies, fighting lies and attempted cover-ups. They've advocated again and again with this city council, with some success recently when the community protected the land around the children's elementary school from being zoned as industrial. Thank you, council, for listening when it comes to that area. More often, though, they've been ignored. Their community has been zoned as an industrial growth center for decades, and they've experienced this growth as a cancer, with industries such as concrete batch plants, metal fabrication plants, asphalt mixing plants, and welding shops permitted to dig their roots into the community and poison their air and their soil. Many community members have reported illnesses stemming from exposure to unknown chemicals leaching from industrial zone companies. These chemicals have caused the Echo Heights neighborhood to have an air toxins cancer risk higher than 83% of all areas in this state. To reiterate, conditions are so dire, council, that the average lifespan in Echo Heights has dipped to 5.3 years less than the Tarrant County average. Some segments of the population who reside in Echo Heights can actually expect to live about 14 years less than an average Tarrant County resident. The residents of Echo Heights deserve the city's help in undoing this harm, which has been inflicted on them by industrial zoning. May I remind you that the mission statement of the City of Fort Worth is working together to build a strong community. You must work together with this community and find a way to keep the Echo Heights neighborhood strong and free from industrial zoning. Reject the comprehensive zoning plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecil. Our next speaker is Martacia James, followed by Mark James.
Good evening. The definition of a voice is a particular opinion or attitude expressed. The meaning to express something in words. The definition of elected official is someone who has been chosen, appointed by their constituents to represent them and be their voice of that community or organization. Countless amount of times we have come down to city council and have been given the runaround or with getting our voices heard. Like really heard to be understood. It has been constantly mentioned about all the toxicity, smells, and fumes, and noise pollution. We are asking that you all to place the comprehensive plan on hold and come out and to observe how we are living. And that isn't just during the daytime, but also at night, so that you're able to hear the noise pollution and see how, see how terrible we are living within the area. You have now heard from us over a handful of times about the industrial zoning and what is wanted by the Echo Heights community, and to add on to or to improve our parks, fix our infrastructure within the area rather than polluting it. I ask that you do delay this plan. I myself is getting ready to bring a child into this world, and staying in the area, I don't want my child to experience any other health issues that I have experienced myself personally. So I would like for you guys to take that into consideration moving forward with this comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mark James, followed by Sherry Warren Dukes. Is Mark here? Our next speaker is Sherry Warren Dukes. Okay.
Ms. Dukes?
That's good. Ms. Dukes.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead,
good
please.
Evening, good evening, Mayor and Council. The comprehensive plan is very important to our city, Echo Heights, and the entire Southeast. In the FortWorthTexas.gov, on the topic Comprehensive Plan, the beginning paragraph reads, "The plan should facilitate the movement of people and goods and the health, safety, and general welfare for the citizens of the city. Economic development is the creation of wealth from which community benefits are realized. It is more than a jobs program. It is an investment in growing the economy and enhancing the prosperity and quality of life for all residents. Echo Heights do not need any more commercial development nor more annexation in our community. There is a humongous commercial building on Village Creek, which I can see from the front yard in Echo Heights. They're developing on David Strickland Road as we speak. I ask the council put a halt to future commercial development that is not enhancing our community. Southeast Fort Worth can be enhanced by having a nature preservation farmland or a paved trail to Arlington Lake or even restaurants on the lake. Echo Heights is the community and Prairie Dog Park should be a lot more welcoming and enhanced because of Arlington Lake. I'm walking distance to the lake, and that's pretty close. I would like for the council to protect Southeast natural land and enhance all the communities surrounding Arlington Lake improvements. I, Sherry Warren Dukes, ask that the Southeast sector land use policies, number 1 and 2, be explained more in depth in regard to commercial development. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for listening.
Thank you, Sherry. Our next speaker is Jackie Cox, followed by Tara Maldonado Wilson.
Thank you, Council. Special thank you, Ms. Bivens, for what you've done and to try to ameliorate conditions in Echo Heights. I'm really touched tonight because I see the community rising and asking very articulately for attention to the plight of people who live next to industrialized areas. We just have to protect everybody who lives there, but most particularly, we need to protect the school children who live near industrialized areas. It's crucial because what you do to a developing child will affect that child lifelong and will contribute to pain and hurt, deep physical pain and hurt that could be made less if we would protect them. So I guess I wish to add my voice to the things that have been said tonight and to suggest additionally that you consider investing in air quality monitors that you can put in crucial places to see how we're doing with respect to protecting our school kids, figure out where the prevailing winds come, bringing the worst of the pollution from the cement plants in Midlothian, and do what we can do. We can help one another. We can help communities that are stuck near industrial areas, and it's a question of will. If you work as much figuring out how to make life better for people who already live here, as we put time and energy and money into helping more and more people from Denton County and Parker County live here, things will be better. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Our next speaker is Tara Maldonado Wilson. Is Tara here?
She's on the phone.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you, Mayor and City Council tonight for having us at the meeting here. I'm on record as being here to support the Echo Heights and Stop 6 Environmental Justice Coalition, along with the protections in place that need to be put there for the Village Creek area as well. If you haven't had a chance to go over and stand at the WM Elementary School, it is quite jarring how close those industrial sites are to the very front grass of the elementary school. I had the opportunity to hear you, Mayor Parker, speak last night talking about the making sure that we're preserving our green space and open conservation, and the city has been on record as making that a priority. And so I would echo the same sentiments to push to purchase the land around the school, but I would also actually ask to go back to the drawing board and create a buffer, an additional buffer zone to the front end of the school that abuts up to that industrial zone, and actually create a buffer kind of all the way around like a circular space. The history of communities of color, not only in this country, but in the city, being detrimentally affected by environmental fallout from industrial zones is highly documented. Even in Fort Worth history, in this new District 11, we have the example of Greenway neighborhood and Greenway Park, which, if people don't know, back in I think it's the 50s or 60s, TxDOT came along and put down I-35 through the center of that park, which was a historic Black neighborhood where they had Juneteenth festivities and celebrations, and really had a deep heritage and culture there that was really detrimentally affected by that project. And so, I think most of the things that were said tonight, I had down in my comments, but I will ask City Council tonight to please at least defer this vote. Unfortunately, this year, communities of color were already let down by the vote against the Community Oversight Board, and I would ask you all that you please listen to the voices of these neighborhoods. I myself live in Meadowbrook, but I, in good conscience, cannot continue to watch our city be so great and innovative in certain areas when it comes to development and innovation, yet we are still having this letdown of our communities of color. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tara. And Council, I believe that's the last of our speakers on this item, but I'm going to look at Jeanette and make sure I'm correct. Okay, very well. Okay, I know that lots of colleagues have something to say here. I'm going to go out of turn. I don't always do this, but I'm going to go first. I first want to commend the many residents that took the time to come this evening. Your arguments were incredibly well thought out and organized, and it is evident to me that this was not just something that you wrote for 3 minutes this afternoon and showed up. This is something you've organized around and feel very passionately about. As was repeated this evening, I have talked specifically about open space and the commitment the City of Fort Worth has to our open space initiative, and specifically in the Echo Heights area. I believe strongly that on this dais, we have an obligation to remedy the sins of our past. And oftentimes those sins may not have been intentional, but as council members in a very fast-growing city, we have a responsibility to try to remedy that together. And it's something all of us have had a commitment to. Every single council member has expressed to me a concern on the comp plan before tonight for different reasons, specifically for their district, their constituents reaching out. I think the comprehensive plan should tell a story of who we are as residents of this city, but who we want to be into the future. And I would like our residents to be excited about the comprehensive plan and the story that it's telling. And it's evident to me tonight that there are certain pieces of it we're excited about and on board with, and there are other pieces that we still need to work on together. I also want to commend Eric Flatiger and his team. You do an amazing job, Eric, and this comprehensive plan does reflect that. So I'm really going to take the blame here on the dais that we need to be more involved in working alongside city staff about what we want this comprehensive plan to tell in this year, and of course in the full update in 2025. So I think it's prudent that this council, having listened to the commentary this evening, that we postpone any final vote on the future land use portion of this evening. Just for clarity's sake, there are several other items included in the proposed amendments for the 2023 comprehensive plan that we all can get behind already, including, just to name a few, the population and trends, the minor updates introduced in Chapter 12. There are maps throughout that pertain to annexation. Section 5 and Appendix A, several plans including Botanic Gardens all the way through Public Art Plan, Appendix D, E, and F. So for clarity, for legal, it's really Chapter 4 in land use and Subchapter 6, Appendix C, dealing with future land use study that I'm proposing we postpone and vote on the rest of those items this evening. After I've said my piece, I just wanted y'all to kind of know where I was headed this evening. I'm happy to go down the dais. I'm just going to start with Elizabeth and move this direction, if that would be okay.
Sure, I would second that motion. Eric, if you could come down and provide, what I've heard tonight is a lot of consternation about the way that we've engaged the public as we've gone through this update process. And I think you know what I'm about to ask, because it's something I'm incredibly excited that we're doing. And so if you could, for the benefit of everybody here, talk about how next year's plan update is going to be very different, and the opportunities that it's going to give those of us on the dais and the members of the public to really dig into this.
Certainly, I'm happy to talk about that, and thank you for bringing that up. One of the things that this plan has not had the resources to do is a community-wide, robust outreach. So that's really what we're intending to do now. So the council and city manager have wisely provided some budget for us to be able to hire a consultant to assist with a community-wide effort. There will be lots of meetings, lots of technology approaches used. The goal is really going to be to open it up and let the community have their say. It's been 20 years since we had that kind of an effort, and things have changed. We now are several 100,000 more population than we were then. Obviously brand new council from those times, and things have changed, and we've seen the city grow based on the way that it was defined at that time. And I think we've got some real wins and successes, and the city's doing great. But this is an opportunity for the folks who live here and the council and your appointed commissioners to really step up and have a say and tell us what your vision of the future is, what you think Fort Worth needs to be 20, 30, 50 years down the road, and help us determine how to get there. And all of the components of the comprehensive plan are a part of that. But really starting with the vision of the future and engagement of the community, stakeholders, businesses, everybody. That's really what we're going to be starting. We've actually got an RFP we're doing finer refinements to right now, and we'll be putting that out on the street, trying to hire a consultant that's sort of worthy of the effort. And then we'll be starting, sometime during the summer, to really engage folks. We'll have a kickoff meeting. That'll be a big public event. And then that'll last, the public engagement process will last approximately a year. So, that will give us a lot of raw material, a lot of new sort of, new goals, new objectives, new vision, new policy opportunities. And, addressing future land use map changes and annexations and all the other things that are an important part of managing the growth of the city. So that's coming up, starting very soon, and we're excited about it as well. So I'm very glad that you are.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Councilor Nettles, go ahead. If you have anything, you're good. Leonard?
Thank you, Mayor. I think your comments were very well said, and if there was anything that I would echo from folks in District 7, it's really specifically the biggest concern being land use. And, it's interesting in District 7 where you have up north in the Hillwood area, Alliance area, we've seen extraordinary growth. And I think we've done some things really well up there under Richard Zavalos' leadership, where when we have time to plan, we can see industrial, residential, and land use coexist very well, in my opinion. We opened Alliance Park just a couple months ago, and it's wonderful. And all those things are around that park. Where we haven't had time to plan necessarily, and we're seeing growth come, like out at Lake Worth, it's a whole different set of issues and complexities. So I think we can figure it out, but we need to really appreciate, I think, in Lake Worth area, the importance of that as a resource, as a park, as an amenity, so to speak, but as a source of our drinking water. It's complex because of the watershed there, obviously, and the development that's coming. Again, I think there's an opportunity for those things to coexist, but I love the opportunity now to really think through what that good story is going to be. So thank you for your leadership there.
Thank you. Dr. Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I echo the same sentiments as Councilmember Firestone. I appreciate you making the motion to delay the land use discussion. In District 6, we've received lots of comments about land use as well, and really it's centered around the importance of having transitional zoning. I talked with Eric about this a little bit. I personally, advocating for District 6 residents would like to see in certain places. We be more intentional about transitional zoning as it relates to low-intensive uses to high-intensive uses, from residential to things like industrial, and also thinking about how our future land use impacts watersheds in our planning process. So I appreciate the opportunity to continue this conversation as it relates to land use and engage our residents, and I support it as well.
Thank you, Jared. Mayor Pro Tem Bivens?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for all of you being here tonight. Jim, I hadn't seen you since before Y2K, so I thought, oh, they dragged him out. That gets even more serious. But I've been sitting here.
I think she meant that as a compliment, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. That was a shock to me. We did battle when I was with the utility company, but thank you for the work you do, as well as you, John. I'm going to read some just random notes. I don't dare talk spontaneously on this because it's very important. While we're waiting to vote on the rest of this plan after tonight, what's on my brain right now is what can be done right now. And I have a few ideas, and I hate that Christina isn't here, but Val and Fernando, I expect you to listen up real hard because it really involves you guys. One thing that we can do right now, and this is directed at Ms. T, because I heard about this Friday, we can get code compliance to go to the neighborhood and make those truck operators stop washing their trucks allowing the chemical runoff to go into her backyard. When I visited the community back in 2021, I saw the trucks right up against her property. That's not healthy. We can do that right now. We don't have to wait for a vote. After being with you guys last week at MLK, another thing that can be done right now is sound monitors. Because right now, there are activities that take place after hours that cause the kitchen cabinetry to shake. Right now. So we don't have to have a vote to make that stop right now. Those are things that involve code compliance, and I know Val will get on top of that. What happens with staff in these meetings that we talk about, staff is trained to call a meeting, go to a meeting, take real good notes, but only from those people who are there. But I look for who's not there. And it's obvious we have a communications problem and challenge at City Hall. And so we have to work on that. I don't think you can send enough text to people. I don't think you can do enough Instagrams, live, and all that stuff to make things happen. So one thing that we did in San Antonio was we used the water bill. Everybody pays a water bill some kind of way. And Renee isn't here, but this is pretty serious, David. And so being able to communicate to people who are disengaged is really important, and you have to take extra efforts. That's why I have my meetings at churches, because I know at some point in time, some preacher will tell somebody what I said, and word gets around. It gets around pretty. Yeah, it really works. And so I want to tell you, the folks at Echo Heights first came to City Hall during COVID. And I remember it specifically because I was virtual, and Attorney Bobby Edmonds came with the people from Echo Heights. And at that meeting, through a bad connection, I advocated for them to get your neighborhood association going. Well, they did, but they went one better. They reached out to John, Sierra Club, and they formed an environmental association. So they are serious, they're not going away, they should not go away, and just because things are as they are now, as they have always been, doesn't mean they need to continue to be so. And so, Jim, I was looking at the Justice 40 initiative, and I'm going to be asking our staff to see how we line up against that. The only thing that gets me stuck is that I know you can't take people's property away, but I know you sure can plan for better use of it in the future. And at some point, there are some cities who are offering, for lack of a better word, reparations because of the industrial harm that's been done. Now, I live in an area where Anderson Labs was. Anybody here old enough to know about Anderson Labs? Well, I tell you what, because of protesters, they were closed down. Tina knows about Anderson Labs. It's a firefighter's wife who led the protest. Now, that didn't sit too well with his employer, I'm sure, but we were made safer at the time. So those are just some thoughts, but Val, I'm real serious. We need to stop the trucks. I don't know if they do it. I don't know why they do it, but they're washing trucks, and whatever they use to wash those trucks is not Dawn or Joy or Ivory. Whatever it is going into her yard, her neighbor's yard, and all along that area. That's just not right. And so those are my musings for now. And I'll be meeting with some people who are concerned about environmental issues in DC on another topic, but I've lined them up. I look forward to continuing this discussion. I look forward to making sure people are heard. And one thing everybody needs to know, these people and anybody who has lived near an industrial area, we don't need another Cancer Alley. Everybody has heard about Cancer Alley in Louisiana. Everybody has heard about West Side, Jim, the smelter, where people used old battery parts to decorate their yards, not knowing the harm they caused from this West Dallas smelter. We don't need that here. And this is a way to avoid that, or at least slow it down and make some corrective changes. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bivens. Mr. Blaylock, anything from you?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Is my microphone on? Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I agree with the approach tonight. I've had contacts from many neighborhoods and citizens up in the north that have expressed concerns, primarily, again, related to future land use, and I think we have a real opportunity here to take a moment and do some better. Really want to see the future land use reflect, how we want the city to look, how it becomes a great place for us to live, work, and play, and just maintain and show the quality of life we expect to have as residents as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Councilmember Crane?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I appreciate you, your thoughts, and everybody else on the dais as well. I did want to ask a point of clarification. Are you asking just the future land use to be separated out and all the other parts?
Yes, and Leanne, you can jump in if I'm incorrect in this, but based on my understanding this evening, not only in comments, but also in talking with councilors on the dais, every other piece of the comprehensive plan, there was no contest here. We were happy about moving forward. It's just these two subchapters that deal specifically with future land use. Yes.
Great. Well, I just want to say thanks to the neighbors that have come out and the supporters that have come out. I understand that piece of it. I understand and hear your concerns. So I'm happy we're going to pull that piece out. I do think there are important parts in here that need to move forward, most notably Las Vegas Trail, the transformation plan. I want to see that move forward. We put a lot of time and effort into that. The Botanic Gardens, I think, is part of that too. I want to give Patrick Newman, who's doing a phenomenal job, the tools he needs to keep moving that forward too. So I'm glad we're figuring out that there are great parts in here, but we need to look at some other parts a little further. Eric, I want to thank you and your staff for all that you've done. I saw the work with the growth in the West, Veal and Walsh, of incorporating all the growth out there that they are bringing commercial, et cetera. I think that's an important part, and that you've done good work there. I thank you. I also want to thank you on the neighbors around Chapin Road on the west side of Fort Worth. The nature of that area has changed a lot. We did a lot. You did a lot to save some open space there and some ag, and leave it ag and not industrial. There's a piece there that you and I have already discussed that I've made a commitment to that neighborhood that we wouldn't take any commercial south of Chapin Road. So there's a tweak there I think we need to do. But appreciate your work there, just trying to, as best we can, preserve some of that green space that's out in the west side of Fort Worth as we continue to grow. But we can talk about that later. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And Councilmember Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. I support delaying this action tonight to provide a better opportunity for staff and the public to engage, in our public process, and to make sure that we capture your input in the areas that you've identified tonight. The mayor mentioned land use, future land use. Those are very valid points. Michael also mentioned some of the things that this update does cover well that could proceed, but where we know where your concerns lie, right, and what the environmental impacts are. So I want to thank the residents and the interested parties that came out here tonight to voice their concerns to us, and also Eric, I have every confidence in you and your staff. Will do great work, in the coming months to make sure that the public process proceeds and that we capture again all the concerns and the public input that we heard tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, council members. One piece, and I might ask Eric to clarify this for me, if you don't mind, Eric. We understand that this is a comprehensive plan update that's limited and just reflects specific revisions in the 2022 comprehensive plan. I'm just kind of curious, so for transparency for the public here, what is the best course of action? Is it to bring this vote back up in a few weeks when we feel like we've maybe remedied some of these issues, or is it prudent to wait a full year and leave it the way it is? I'm really curious what is best here for this council.
Well, thank you for asking that question. What we have right now is the 2022 comprehensive plan. So there would be no changes under what's been discussed as far as the future land use maps, meaning that all of the 100-year floodplain areas that we've identified would no longer be identified, so we wouldn't be providing that information, that education, and assistance to the development community. So that would be, I guess,
Problematic, sure, yeah.
Another thing that one of the slides that I showed actually was modifying the future land use designation around Green Elementary School itself to vacant undeveloped agricultural to help protect, so getting back to that concept of a buffer around the school. So that would not be included if you skip the future land use maps. And I know Dana was getting ready to jump up and say something. I don't know if that was what it was, but I mean, one approach certainly is to do what you've just described. Another approach would be to adopt the comprehensive plan in its entirety. We have not added any industrial future land use to the Echo Heights area in this comprehensive plan. And we made that modification to remove some industrial future land use designation. So one idea would be to go ahead with the comprehensive plan as it is in entirety, understanding that within a few months we're going to start a process, and we'd be happy to be fully engaged with the Echo Heights community and others throughout the city to delve into future land use designations and what their vision of their future really is. And that would certainly be one of the most urgent components of that effort. Again, so starting in a few months, that's where we're going to be. I don't think from the standpoint of sort of revising the future land use designations across the city, certainly within a few weeks or a few months, we would do that. We would be able to do that with public engagement.
Right.
We could certainly focus on Echo Heights and look specifically at the industrial designations around them. But we would do that within a few months anyway if we, by starting this larger public engagement process.
That's helpful, thank you. And Dana, you're welcome to jump in here at any point. Maybe what I'll propose, council, is we bring this back up next month in April and attempt to make finalize some of these changes that you mentioned that are important adjustments to our future land use map, especially with floodplain and some other changes you made, including Echo Heights, but do some additional discussion with neighbors, understanding that our comprehensive plan, I'm using that word a lot tonight, is actually not going to happen. Change is not going to happen until the 2023 plan is complete. Does that work for everybody? I don't want to confuse anybody that's leaving here, because I think for clarity, this plan for 2022 is not going to go through a significant overhaul until we go through this long public process, and that's in the 2023 plan, which is next year. So
I am confused. I know where I stand. I don't want to see any action taken regarding Echo Heights tonight.
No, and I agree. That won't happen tonight, but at the very least, we bring this back up no sooner than next month, at least to try to talk through some of these major issues. Dana, go ahead.
There it goes. Dana Bergdorf, Assistant City Manager. So Eric mentioned earlier in his remarks that the Appendix C, where the future land use maps and policies are contained, are broken up into 16 planning sectors. Echo Heights is in the southeast planning sector, which is the one that needs immediate attention with regard to future land use planning and zoning as well. One of the suggestions I had was going to offer, it may not make sense given the 1 month delay you just described, Mayor, but you could adopt the, in some cases, somewhat minor and in some cases significant with the floodplain, land use map amendments that have been in the works for months. Some of them reflect zoning changes that have already been made. Some of them reflect the Veal Ranch development agreement, which we want to get going. That's in the far west and far southwest sectors. That one option is to perhaps suspend adoption of the future land use plan for the southeast sector specifically. But if there's concerns about other sectors, that may not make sense to parse it out that way, but I wanted to offer that as an option.
That's
that
helpful.
Appendix C is not all or nothing.
Yeah.
We can break it into those, we have those 16 sectors which can be considered.
That's helpful, but council has to speak up here. There may be other sections that you're concerned about within the comprehensive plan. If that's the case, we just need to kind of delay it at least for a few weeks to keep working through that. So is it better to just delay the whole thing in that appendix, or yeah? Yes. Okay, we're gonna go back. So what is your preference, to read through what my original motion was on the floor? Okay.
Okay, so Jeanette, you might have been keeping track as well, but it's my understanding that the motion is to approve with the following amendments, that it will not, the ordinance will not include adoption of Chapter 4, Land Use, or Appendix C, and that those two items will be continued for 30 days.
Thank you, Leanne. Any other questions about that, council? Wonderful. We've got a motion and a second by Councilmember Beck. Any other discussion? If not, please vote. Motion carries. Thank you, council.
So the next item is MNC 23-0195 with staff report by Joel McElhaney.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Joel McElhaney, Assistant Director of the Park and Recreation Department. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider the proposed use of a portion of Heritage Glen Park for a permanent sewer maintenance area. Heritage Glen Park is located in North Fort Worth, Council District 4. It is south of Heritage Trace Parkway and north Tarrant Parkway, east of Riverside Drive and west of Beach Street, highlighted in the cyan or light blue color there on the map. The City of Fort Worth Development Services Department and the Water Department is requesting 0.025 acres of parkland for a permanent maintenance area. The permanent maintenance area is for the installation of a new 8-inch sanitary sewer line that will serve an assisted living and memory care facility. Construction of this facility is to begin in February of 2023 and last approximately 11 months. Construction of the sewer line within the Heritage Glen Park is estimated to begin in April and last approximately 10 days. No trees will be impacted by this project. The Park Board endorsed this item for the City Council approval on January 25th, 2023. It is recommended the City Council conduct a public hearing under the guidelines set forth in the Texas Parks and Wildlife Code, Chapter 26, Protection of Public Parks and Recreation Lands, and find that no feasible or prudent alternative exists for the use of Heritage Glen Park for the installation of a permanent sanitary sewer line and associated maintenance area, and find that the proposed permanent sanitary sewer line and associated maintenance area includes all reasonable planning to minimize harm to the parkland, including that all infrastructure and equipment with the construction will be constructed as specified on the preceding exhibits, and close the public hearing and authorize the use of approximately 0.025 acres of dedicated parkland at Heritage Glen Park for the proposed permanent sanitary sewer line and associated maintenance area. Oops. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, council? None here, I don't think so. So, Council District 4, I'll turn to you, Mr. Blaylock.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate this. I think it's going to be beneficial to get this done and get it and get the new building built. So I motion to close the hearing and act on the MNC.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0062 with report by Stuart Campbell.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Stuart Campbell with the Planning and Annexation Division. This is a public hearing for an owner-initiated annexation. The applicant has requested a continuance to the April 11th City Council meeting.
Okay.
And
thank you.
I'll go into your discussion.
Thank you, Stuart. Any questions, Councilmember Firestone?
Yep. Move to close the public hearing and continue until April 11th.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Oh, Jared. Oh, Jared's not here, if you don't mind. Sorry, I just realized that. Motion carries.
Next item is the companion zoning case case ZC-22-195.
Sounds like we're going to continue that one.
Correct.
Mr. Stone?
I'll move to continue until April 11th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Council, before we jump back into additional zoning cases, let's go back to the two items we pulled off the consent agenda. I'm going to handle one first that's a little bit easier. There was some confusion related to MNC 23-0196. And I know that Mary Goodman spoke and Gina had expressed concern based on her comments, but Ms. Goodman actually had signed up on a different item and it wasn't related to the MNC. So we have no concerns about that MNC for authorization of equipment with Kirby Smith Machinery. So if I could take a motion on that item. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries. And our last MNC we need to go back to is MNC 23-0232, pertaining to our authorization execution of a continued lease agreement with Waste Management of Texas Incorporated. I'm happy to have Steve come back down and answer any additional questions. I know Gina had expressed a concern of an extension of that lease for 10 years. If it's Steve or anyone else on staff, that's best to better understand what the lease agreement looks like and what the operation of that facility does. I don't have any concern about this particular facility in particular. I think they have been an excellent tenant there and importantly do provide all of our residential waste services for the city of Fort Worth and are an excellent partner in that. But if any city staff, I'm looking around, not sure who that would be, want to talk about that, they can. And I don't see any representative from Waste Management. Oh, there's Steve Keller. Hi, Steve. Steve, I'm literally putting you on the spot.
Mayor, I can probably add some clarity.
Please go ahead. Steve, come on down. Or whoever you want to designate, Steve, is fine. He just left you hanging. That's what I just saw.
I think the concerns the nearby residents have are more cosmetic, if you will. I don't know that there's a real distinction that has been made between these operations and this lease compared to the entire big picture of displeasure with environmental matters. And so without them here, I don't know what else to do. I know we can't just forego a 10-year, we have nowhere else to go.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, we're there. But I think their concerns are more cosmetic. I think it would be good if you were to meet with the association, and I'll put you in contact with not only the officers, but all who spoke here tonight, because these are the voices that could better express their concerns.
Yes, ma'am, I'd be happy to. We'd be happy to meet with the stakeholders down there. And we're very thankful for the placement, the partnership.
I've been in your facility. It's clean as all get out.
Yes, ma'am. If you consider what it was before to what it is now, it's night and day difference. And, we're very cognizant of keeping things in good order down there.
I think a tour may be helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
So.
Yes, ma'am. Be happy to do so.
No, I have no issues.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you very
With
much.
that, council, I think we can entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Okay, that gets us back to the rest of the zoning, which is ZC-22-211.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Alexia Becerra, followed by Humberto Becerra.
Hello, good afternoon, members of City Council. My name is Alexia Becerra, and tonight I'm representing Humberto Becerra, which is the owner of the property located at 4309 Village Creek Road. After our last hearing, I've had an open dialogue with Ms. Pearl Grant, which is the former president of Village Creek Neighborhood Association, and attended a meeting with the neighborhood at the local community center on March 16th, which we provided information on what our property is used for. After our meeting, we understood that the neighborhood isn't against our business, but they're just trying to understand why the city wants us to change our zoning. Before, there was an opposition for the following reasons, which were causing traffic, causing harm to children and the elderly, no sidewalk, and 18-wheeler storage. I believe Ms. Wilsburn was getting us confused with those who are causing these issues, which are in higher industrial properties surrounding Village Creek. When I went to speak to the neighborhood association, they agreed that we aren't the ones causing none of these issues, but it is other higher industrial properties in the area because our property isn't being used for nothing other than storage of personal vehicles, trailers, tools, and the work trucks that the guys take to work. We also do not own any 18-wheelers, nor do we need an 18-wheeler for our business. We also do not operate nor work on our property. Therefore, we have never been one of those property owners that release any harmful chemical out to the environment. Also, they noted that we haven't caused traffic in our area due to our guys arriving before 6 a.m. and leaving no later than 6:10 a.m. And they do not return back to the property until after 6 p.m. It was also noted that no other property nearby or within our street has a sidewalk. It also has come to my attention that the 2023 comprehensive plans for this property is to be residential, not industrial. It is not part of the industrial zoning for the new comprehensive plan, but we would really appreciate getting approved for the change the city wants us to make in order to make to our property in order for us to not only be okay with the city, but to continue to help those around us and have a safe place for our employees to leave their personal vehicles while they go to work. We would also love to keep building relationships we have with our neighbors and continue to be loaning and continue to help them when needed, whether if it's helping families during storms, if they need wood for warmth. But in Dite, the fact that neighborhood association have questions, I believe some of them are here tonight to talk about it and ask a couple questions, as we would like to be on the same page as everyone. Therefore, I would be agreeable to an extension and coming back into the city council to discuss this case further if needed to. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Humberto Becerra.
I was.
That's fine. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you so much. Letitia Wilburn, followed by Linda Beasley.
Hi, Letitia Wilburn. This is a bad idea. This is one of the problems with industrialization. They bought property zoned for a home. Now they want to change it to industrial. I know from personal experience, this is a bad idea. This property is surrounded by homes. I know the zoning commission thought it was a bad idea. So I don't know what makes them think it's a good idea. They will affect their neighbors with pollution, with the noise. There's children that walk up and down that street. It's close to a nursing home facility. It's close to a community park. It's also close to the community center. I oppose this, and I think it's a bad idea. When you buy property in certain communities, it's not given that you can come and change it because you want to. You knew what this property was when you bought it. And now, because you see a lot of industrialization, you think it's okay to change it. And like I said before, that's the problem with putting industry in communities. You have people, and I'm not talking down or bad against them, but you have people who think it's okay because they see it around the community to come and affect everyone else's lives. It's a bad idea, and I'm telling y'all from personal experience, don't approve this.
Our next speaker is Linda Beasley.
Hi, I'm Linda Beasley, and I represent the Village Creek Neighborhood Association. Pearl's at a funeral, so she could not attend, but we opposed the changing to industrial. We have children walking up and down the streets. We have homes, nursing homes, a church, a community center, an elementary school in the area. No, we don't have any sidewalks over there. We've asked for them, but we've never received them. And if you go into our area, you'll find out there's a lot of streets with no sidewalks. We're a little bit tired of all of the light industrial, whether it's your heavy trucks, your trucks going up and down the streets. If you go down Village Creek, you go down to Martin, or even Village Creek to Berry. We have more potholes, more destruction, and it's all because of all the trucks, the trucking companies that are there, whether you're using it for your own personal use or a big trucking company, and we have tons of them over there. And to have that big of an area, I can't say that they're not going to use it for something else, which we are very much against. The pollution that the trucks, the fumes from the gasoline, the diesel are polluting the air. In our area, we have a lot of senior citizens there, and we have a lot of senior citizens with respiratory problems. And like I said, we do have the nursing home over there. So, oh, and by the way, our neighborhood association is also part of the Echo Heights Environmental Coalition also. But no, Village Creek is definitely against this.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Mayor Pro Tem, that's the last of our speakers on this item.
Melissa, I think you have an overhead slide. I see it on your screen. Can you pull that up? Okay. I wondered what made Code take the case, and this is what you see here. And I found out Code has an open case on this property owner since September 2021. And as far as Code is concerned, the property owners are operating illegally. I wanted to give you time to be able to have a formal conversation with the neighborhood association. And so, Linda, when I didn't see Pearl, I didn't know who was here. I'm glad to see you here tonight. Okay. Well, I am going to make a motion to uphold the decision from the Zoning Commission and move to deny.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? Please vote.
Thank you all for coming.
Motion passes.
Next item is ZC-22-212.
We have no speakers on this item. Councilmember Beck.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-170.
We have one speaker on this item, Councilmember Bivens, and it's Ms. Wilburn.
Okay, I'm asking to oppose this. This is part of the Echo Heights Stop 6 Environmental Coalition District, and it's also attached to Echo Heights. The scary thing about this is that it's zoned heavy industrial, and I did notice that right behind this company on Colette Little Road, there's 2 slots slated for rezoning to industrial. And the problem with that is that there's a senior citizen apartment communities right there. I know when we came several months ago, it was offensive to hear him say that Fourth ISD send kids to his junkyard, salvage yard for auto mechanics. That would be unsafe. That would be unwise for ISD to send kids to that environment with stacked cars in a salvage yard, rodents, snakes, and insects. He also said that the fire department uses this facility for training. So why did we buy that multi-million-dollar facility on Felix Street if they have to go to a salvage yard on Mansfield Highway for training? The scary thing is that whether it's approved or disapproved, even if it's disapproved, what happened to that lot that's slated heavy industrial? Can it be rezoned to something more compatible? There's a apartment complex close by. There's businesses close by. There's Off the Bone barbecue chain close by. So I recommend that you guys deny it, but I'm also concerned that once it's denied, it's zoned heavy industrial, what will go there. And with the 2 lots behind it, like I stated earlier on Colette Little Road, that's up for being rezoned. I'm just concerned about what will come in those particular areas. But I think it's offensive what he said, that kids come there for auto mechanics training in the salvage yard.
Thank you. Councilmember Bivens?
And if you can't deny with prejudice.
Let me explain the complexities behind this case. My godmother lived in the senior apartment complex. I'm very familiar with it, as well as the other apartment complexes and all the businesses in that section. Initially, I thought, okay, the commission got it wrong. But what happens is the fear you just expressed. A deny to this application guarantees K. And so for that reason, I do need to uphold the recommendation from zoning for your protection. Because if we deny this, then anything that's heavy industrial can come there, and that's not what you want, I promise you. So I thought I'd explain it that way, because initially I thought, well, why would they do this? Because I thought about my godmother. But the K, at least this gives you a cup, which has some standards that will be monitored, and it won't give you K. And so with that, respectfully, I move to approve.
Yep, those were my concerns about, as I stated before, about
Thank you, Ms.
the
Walker.
heavy industry.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you very much.
Yeah.
Any other questions from Ms. Bivens? Thank you. Thank you. I've got a motion and a second from Councilmember Nettles. Any other questions? Thank you. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-219.
We have one speaker on this item, Councilmember Beck, only if there's opposition, which I don't think there is any, Scott Gibson.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Either discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-223.
Our first speaker on this item is Ray Ojeski. I don't think Ray's here. No? Councilmember Firestone?
I'd like to move to continue until April 11th.
Move for approval, council. Okay. A second. Any other discussion? Please vote. I think so. Okay. Motion carries. Oh, sorry, no, it doesn't. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-227.
The speaker on this item, Councilmember Firestone, and it is Bruce French.
Hello, Mayor, Council. My name is Bruce French. I'm Vice President of Land for Tri-Point Homes, 6201 West Plano Parkway, Plano, Texas. I'm here tonight representing the partnership that we have between Tri-Point Homes and MI Homes. We purchased this property in December of 2021. We came before this council on September 14th, 2021, to rezone the property to PD 1313. The subject for tonight is the western portion of our property, which is proposed to be Phase 3. It's currently platted for 114 lots. It's actually our least desirable portion of the property due to we've got a very expensive road to build, Wagley-Robertson Road extension. There's 3 gas wells, there's floodplain, and an overhead power transmission line. So it's not really suited well for single-family homes. But we've been approached by the adjacent property owner, which is Zoned I, about adding this property to his holdings. And he would build a number of warehouses, 5 to 10,000 square foot warehouses over many years. But so tonight we propose, would like to get your support to rezone the property to I, and glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bruce. Any questions, Councilmember Firestone?
No, thank you, Bruce. Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Either discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-002.
We have our first speaker on this item is Dan Hayes, followed by Michael Phipps, but I will say that they're both only if there's opposition, and there is none. Councilmember Nettles.
Good, okay. Move for approval.
Thank you. Motion and a
Thanks
second.
for being here, Dan.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-004.
Our first speaker is Samir Mohammed, followed by Tim Morton.
Good evening, Ms. Mayor, and good evening, Gina Bevans and all council members. I'm Samir Mohammed. I'm the construction project manager for Q Car Wash. I'm in charge of the design and development for all the car washes projects for Q Car Wash. First of all, thanks to Beth Knight with the city staff for the PDC meeting and the unanimous approval by PNC. Our car wash, when car wash comes to pictures, people think about self-serve car wash, drug dealing, security concerns, and all that stuff. But car washes have gone way beyond and transformed towards express car washes. Q Car, just to give you a quick background, Q Car Wash is an express car wash operator. We currently have 11 operating locations, and 5 are under construction. Out of which two of them are in the city of Arlington, which we got a certificate of occupancy last week. We're building one more in the city of Arlington, and we have locations in Dallas, Duncanville, Mesquite, White Settlement, Benbrook, and Grapevine. Currently, we have 3 locations in the city of Fort Worth, East Chase, Basswood, and Golden Triangle. We are eco-friendly express car wash where we recycle 80% of our water through 3-part sedimentation process. We use reclaim system to reclaim most of our water. All chemicals that we use in our car wash are biodegradable and environmental friendly, so there's no harm, and it goes to the sewer system through a 3-part sedimentation process that I already told you about. We use high-end exterior stucco finishes, metal panels in lieu of wood panels, just to make it look good, and we don't compromise on the aesthetics of the building. We would like to make sure we stand out in regards to our buildings. Our car wash equipment is not something which is common. Although the blowers are most noisier part of the car wash, we do have silencers on them, so which makes them 10 times quieter than the typical blowers that we use. We use all electrical equipment in lieu of hydraulic equipment. Our vacuum equipment also has silencers on them. Just to let you know, it makes a noise of 70 decibel at 10 feet. A moving car at 50 to 60 miles per hour makes more noise than our vacuums. Changes made as per the DRC comments. We moved the dumpster, as you can see on the site plan. There was an 8-inch sewer line which we didn't know about. I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to go through. We have 24 hours camera surveillance on motion sensor, and we chain up the vacuum area so that it's not accessible when we're not open. We plan to create 15 full-time jobs with 2 shifts. Hours of operations can be obtained on request. We support law enforcement and first responders, and we give them free washes just to honor them for what they do. We are proud sponsors and donate generously towards Talent Food Bank, and we are proud members of Mesquite Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Our next speaker is Tim Morton. I don't know if Tim would like to speak. Thank you very much. Jean, I'll turn it over to you. Are you getting a car wash?
This is my second, and I got to make sure I can transfer my membership from East Chase to Tim's location, but I guess I got a few months to do that. I am excited about the location. You're lucky because Dr. Martin knows the area, and I am a customer. So once again, we were able to beg from this dais for a car wash, and we got one. Now we'll have another. And I excitedly move for approval. Good to see you, Dr. Martin, and thank you for your service here with the city of Fort Worth. And I will be calling you about transferring my membership.
Thank you, Gina. Any other questions, council? If not, I've got a motion.
I'll second that, and
Motion.
congratulations. I know how excited you, we can see it on your face.
I like the
You're beaming.
cues, I like it.
Yeah.
Motion and a second, please vote. You're like a commercial, Gina.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-005.
No speakers on this item, Councilman Nettles.
Move for approval.
Okay, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-006.
Our first speaker is Robert Petrie, followed by Michael Thomas.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mickey Thomas, MJ Thomas Engineering. We're representing Robert Petrie on this endeavor. I understand that there may be a request to continue this case on this, and so the owner doesn't have a problem with that and wouldn't mind continuing to the April 11th agenda.
Councilmember Beck.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I know that you've tried to reach out to the neighborhood, and that's always a requirement of mine, and they haven't. It's my understanding that they haven't gotten back with you. And so you have my commitment that tomorrow morning we'll be sending an email and we'll be connecting all of the parties via email to make sure that that happens, so that when we come back to the April 11th meeting, we know that everybody is informed and we can make a better decision. So thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I move to continue to April 11th. I guess
Thank
that's
you,
the
Elizabeth.
important
Motion,
part of it.
motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-008.
We have no speakers on this item, Councilmember Crane and Firestone.
Thank you. I just want to say thanks to the developers here with working with the community. I think what the product that they're going to bring is great. It's great commercial use of this property that the neighborhood's been wanting for a long period of time, and I think it'll be great. So with that, I move to approve.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-010.
We have two speakers on this item. Our first is Patrick Bryan, followed by Matthew Malley.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am the owner of the property at 5024 Colette Little Road. I bought the property for the sole purpose of storing temporary wood traffic signal poles and permanent steel traffic signal poles. Took me about a year to find a property. Finally found one here that was tailor-made, already fenced in, appeared to have already been used for outside storage. I didn't do my due diligence in making sure what it was zoned for. I know that's real estate 101, but I'm here today. And on top of it, the signal poles will be used on the Southeast Connector project. I know y'all are familiar with that. Many of the steel poles will remain the property of the city of Fort Worth. We're just busting at the seams where we currently are, so we need a place that's within the project limits, and this one fit really well. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Patrick. Our next speaker is Matthew Malley.
Good evening, council. I'm Matthew Maley. I'm with Pape Dawson Engineers. I'm helping Patrick on the project. Part of what we wanted to do with the rezoning is just to allow for the storage laydown use. And so really we started our application initially with a conditional use permit. Since the project has a specific duration, we know one of the concerns being once it's rezoned, what happens after the project's complete. So staff directed us that this would be step one of what would become a CUP. So that's our ultimate goal, is to get to that.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Questions from Councilmember Bivens or council members? Nope. Okay.
I'm going to move to uphold the recommendation from the zoning committee and move to deny.
Motion, I've got a second from Carlos. Okay. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0148.
Yep, please vote. I think Elizabeth did.
Motion approved. The next item is MNC 23-0212.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0215.
Motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carried. Next item is MNC 23-0228.
Motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carried. Next item is MNC 23-0235.
Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0227.
Councilmember Nettles. Apparently.
I move that the Fort Worth City Council adopt the resolution authorizing the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire 0.0059 acres in pedestrian access easements from the real property owned by Sias Kipra RB Investment, Inc. The land rights in the subject property are needed for the East 4th Street East 1st Street on the street bike lane project, and a public use which provides for construction of new separated bike lanes, bicycles and pedestrian counters, and related intersection improvement along the project corridor. The project is located at 301 South Sylvania Avenue in the Riverside Addition, Fort Worth, Block 29, Lot 1 through 3, Tarrant County, Texas. The property interest to be acquired to describe by meets and bounds and typical by survey exhibits attached to this, Mayor and Council. That is my motion.
Got a motion and a second. Council, please vote.
I know.
Carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0218, and I believe Robert Stearns has a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Robert Stearns, Economic Development Department. The brief presentation we'll give you is a proposal for a 380 agreement with Probably Monsters. Probably Monsters is a technology software game developer located and headquartered in Bellevue, Washington. The company is rapidly growing its presence and market share in the U.S. And looking at an expansion opportunity, and this is obviously a high-value technology company that is in one of our designated target areas as outlined in our strategic plan. This project would see the establishment of a primary office in Fort Worth. They will initially take site of a 9,000 square foot building at a temporary location at 210 East 8th Street. So this is downtown in the Winifred building on or before June 1st of 2023. They will then subsequently find a permanent office space of 30,000 square feet to be leased on or before December 31st, 2024. As part of this project, we'll be utilizing our Economic Development Incentive Fund to attract the job growth. We would have average annual wages of $75,000, And as you see, the schedule details an initial job commitment of 60 full-time jobs in year 1, ramping up to 300 full-time jobs by year 5. Here's just a quick overview of the location of the temporary site. The proposed incentive would be an 8-year economic development program agreement to provide grants based on the job creation for the overall projects, ensuring a minimum of 300 employees with wages at an average salary of $75,000. And this incentive will be capped not to exceed $1.5 million. And as you see here, year 1 grant will be $500,000 based on verification of the temporary site lease and year 1 employment and salary commitments. Year 2, that grant drops to $400,000 with the expanded office space. And you see year 3, 4, 5, that overall grant on the job commitment decreases while the employment and salary increases. There is a clawback in year 5, so they will have to maintain these jobs for a period of 3 years. And so that clawback will be in place to ensure that the city is receiving the overall benefit for the project. So that concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from Mr. Stearns, council? If not, we can take a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Mayor, I believe that concludes all of the items.
Thank you, council. We're going to close tonight's council meeting in memory of Allison Gray. Allison was an assistant director and a longtime employee of the City of Fort Worth Development Services Department who died after a long battle with cancer. Allison began her career with the city in January 1999 as a planning assistant in the Planning and Development Department. She was the first female building official in the city's history, and she quickly became known for her building code expertise and her institutional knowledge. Allison made a big commitment on the community, impact on the community, and as many of you know, she was often referred to as a fearless female Indiana Jones. She served in the U.S. Air Force for approximately 8 years, and her love of adventure knew no limits. She is survived by her 2 sons and 4 grandchildren. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family and also with her City of Fort Worth family, who I know that she'll be dearly missed. And with that, council, meeting adjourned.